Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight we just want to start, it is not on the agenda that's in front of you, but we're going to start with a quick update on where we are with the reassessment. Fernando, you might have to turn that on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out once again. Before we start with the quick update on where we are with the assessment project, I just want to make an announcement. And it's related to the renewals of exemptions. The deadline for exemption renewals are all exemptions, whether they are the senior star or any of the exemptions that require a renewal. Due to the income verification, the deadline is May 1st. So if you have not submitted your renewal, please submit it as soon as possible. If you are not sure whether you have submitted it, because we allow the renewal form early in the year, in January, please call my office, 762-8274. Also, if anyone has recently moved to us and you need to file for your new basic star exemption, well, please contact my office. You can go online and get a form, or you can stop by my office or call my office and we'll mail it to you. Again, if you do have any questions, please call. I know there is some confusion because you may have received a form and you're not sure whether you sent it in or not. Make sure, please do call the office, 762-8274. Now we will have Melissa Baer from Tyler Technologies, the project manager, give us an update with the assessment project.
Thank you, Fernando. So it's hard to believe that it's been almost exactly a year since we started this project. It's hard for me to believe that it's gone by really, really fast, and we're still doing the same thing we were doing almost a year ago, which is we're finishing up the data collection. So some of this is a little, I'm going to skip over the stuff I've talked about before, but public information is really, really important to us. That's why we're out here meeting with everyone. It's why we have our website out there. So I really want everyone to take advantage of the information that's out there. We mailed some brochures to everyone in town at this point, so everyone should have received a brochure. Data collectors are finishing up. We only have 2 condo complexes left to collect. We have about 200 properties. We also have our website, and we've been doing quite a few public meetings, not as many as of late, but early on in the project we certainly held quite a few. This is our website, mmrc.tylertech.com. We do update it pretty frequently. We put out press releases, new forms, and we try to keep it up to date. At least every week we do some kind of change to it. So we have a Why Do a Reassessment video in both English and Spanish on the website. We have a calendar of events for any meetings that we do hold. Those will be found there. All of our public presentations, including this one, will be on the website tomorrow. And street listings of data collector locations, which we update weekly. So data collection, as I said, we are wrapping up, and we're really, really excited about it because, as you can guess, February was pretty darn hard on us. So it is not fun to data collect properties every single day out in the weather, and when you're doing it in 20 inches of snow, it's even less fun. And not only did we have all that snow, the temperatures were really, really frigid. So kudos to my crew who came every single day to come out and work, and they were trudging through the snow and the ice and the cold to get this work completed for us. So we began on June 10th, data collecting here in Ossining, and almost a year later, we are just about done. So those are the 2 Emmys Cove and Hudson Point complexes is all we have left to do our first calls on. Everything else, and we also have about 50 very large commercials. We haven't done Sing Sing yet, but we have a list of people who want to go see that. So I'm not one of them. I don't think I want to walk into the prison, no, just me. So this is where we are. So as you can see, we've only gotten into 44%. So we're a little disappointed by that, to be honest. We certainly understand that people are busy, people work, you have social lives, families that you need to take care of. This inspection takes 5 to 10 minutes of your time. We've already measured the outside. All we need to do is a quick interior. So we're asking, again, begging, pleading, that if you haven't already scheduled an inspection, to give us a call. I'm going to give you the phone number in big letters and big numbers in a minute. If you got one of these cards, this card is asking you to make an appointment. That means we haven't gotten in. Almost everybody's gotten one of these. We have maybe less than 1,000 that haven't. So if you're shaking your head, it could be that we just haven't gotten to you yet. But if you live in Briarcliff, that's the only place that may not have gotten it. So you should have received yours already, unless you let us in the first time, and then you don't get a card. So, particularly interesting is the second calls. We only do those on Saturday, so we're only getting into 14%. So, I guess people are really, really busy here, so we're not getting into as many properties as we would really like. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what happens in that scenario. So there's that phone number I promised, 800-273-8605. Whether we went to your property almost a year ago or last week, we will schedule an appointment for you at a time that's convenient. We do night appointments, we do Saturday appointments. So give us a call. We have mailed out 4,100 data mailers. So I don't know if you got one of those, but that shows all the information on your property. If it is not correct, you need to let us know, send it back to us. And if there's some kind of information that we need to verify, we're going to call and ask you to schedule that appointment anyway. So give us a call if you don't mind. So why do we want to do this inspection? Why is it so important to us? So equity. That's kind of why we're doing this whole project to begin with, is we want everyone to be treated consistently and equitably. So we want to collect all the same data for everyone exactly the same way. So if we don't do that, we have to estimate, we have to guess. So what are some of the things that we're going to have to estimate if you don't let us in? We're going to have to estimate the number of rooms, including the number of bedrooms and bathrooms that you have, what kind of heating type, whether your basement is finished or attic space is finished, and the interior condition. So all those things are pretty important. They're going to affect the value of your property. They would affect the value of your property if you were selling it. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to have to estimate if we don't get to verify them in person. So the interior inspection is also your opportunity to let us know of anything in your property inside that we can't see from the outside that affects the value. So if you think about your house, you've got water damage, you've got cracks in the ceiling. If we can't see that, we're not going to be able to reflect that in your value. So there are some benefits. So how do we estimate? We get out a dartboard. Not really. So we try to use as much of the information.
Not really again.
Not really. Not really. We don't really use a dartboard. We only do that for the values. Kidding again. Just kidding again. All right, so we review the information. We've got information on file for everybody's property already. You guys are already paying taxes. Maybe that date is right, maybe it's wrong, but that's our starting point. So we've got some information on your property already. We certainly have all the exterior information because we've measured. So we know the square footage of living area, we know you have a garage, you have a deck. We look at MLS. Your property's been on the market since 1996. We got a lot of information on your property. We got pictures, we've got all the stuff that you let us know about when you're selling your property. So number of rooms. If none of that other information is good, we're going to estimate it based on similar properties in your area. So if you have a 2,000 square foot house and you're in a neighborhood of 2,000 square foot houses and they all have 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, you're going to have 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. We're also going to look at, for heating type, there's some clues. We got an oil tank, you got the pipe coming out. We're going to know that you have oil heat. But we're also going to, central air, that's pretty easy to spot. We can see that on the outside. And we're going to look at similarities too. So if everyone's got oil, hot water heat, then you're going to have oil, hot water heat as well. Finished basements, same thing. If you live in a 1950 subdivision and everybody's put a rec room in, you're going to get a rec room too. We also look for things like curtains, ACs, and blinds in the windows. So if you're one of those people that just wants your basement windows to look pretty and they have curtains in them, we may make the assumption, estimate, that your basement is finished. So the best way for us not to have to do that is to let us do that quick 5 to 10 minute inspection. The interior condition, this is a tough one. So we have to make the assumption that if you've maintained your house on the outside, you've done the same on the inside as well. So if you've replaced your siding and your windows and your roof, we have to assume that you've done improvements on your interior, updated your kitchen, updated your bathroom fixtures. We certainly don't want to do that. We only do it when we don't have the opportunity to verify in person. So data mailers. Everybody is going to have an opportunity to see the information that we've collected for your property. The form of that is a data mailer, that's what we call it. It's got all the property inventory. So if you get one of these, we've mailed out less than half. We have about another 1,100 going out on Monday. So, and we've gone through a great deal of edits to make sure that the data is as accurate as possible before we mail them to you. We will still have some kind of errors on there, I guarantee it, because either we had to estimate or just human error. So we encourage you, ask you to take a look at your data mailer very closely. Make sure that the data that we have for you is correct, and if it's not, we don't need you to go out and hire someone to measure. You don't need to hire an appraiser. Make a note. Say, hey, my square footage is not right. We'll send someone back out, we'll remeasure it, and we'll make it correct. So there are some things that we will ask to do an interior inspection if you haven't already let us in. So if we've estimated that you have a finished basement and you do not, we are going to ask that you allow us to come in to verify that. And if we are not allowed to, we are not going to remove that item. So we don't really want to do that. We're not trying to penalize anyone. We're just trying to be fair to all the people that did let us in, because we really appreciate you accommodating this process. So that's the data mailer. We have a lot of information on our website too. We have information on how to calculate the square footage, different heat types, how do you know what heat types are, there's pictures, all kinds of information, and a glossary as well. So if you have any issues with your data mailer, you can give us a call at our office, or you can check out the website to see if we answer your question there. So once the data mailers are mailed, your data then becomes available on our website. And as soon as that data mailer happens, your data is there now until the end of the project. We don't have every piece of data. We don't have values out there because we don't have values yet. But as we update your property, if you've returned your data mailer, you can keep checking back to make sure that we've made the corrections that you've submitted to us. It does take a little while. We're probably a month or two behind. If you've mailed it in, it takes us about a month or two because we're still doing all the entry from the data collection itself. But we are working on those as we can, and we'll continue to update that information so you can see what is on your property, what's on your neighbor's property, what's on their properties. It's all out there for you to look at. This is just some screen prints of what's the data that's available. So there's a picture. If the picture's wrong, you can let us know, and someone from the assessor's office may take a new photo, the sketch of the property, and some basic information. It's the same information that you'll find on the data mailer. So this is where we are. We've mailed 4,100. We've gotten just over 1,200. So we've gotten back about 29%. So again, we're not getting back a lot of data mailers either. We really like to know whether or not the data is correct or incorrect. So even if it's correct, if you could get it back to us, you can scan it and email it, you can mail it, you can even fax it if you'd like to. We'd like to get as many back as we can. And as you can see that out of the 1,200, about 300 of them required us to go back and do an inspection. So getting the data correct is our ultimate goal. We don't cut corners where that's concerned, so unfortunately we may have to go back to your house and take a look at it again. So on March 31st, now we're going to talk about commercial properties, which we haven't really talked about a lot at these meetings, but it's an important segment of our population, certainly. So the way we value commercial properties is using the income approach. So what we want to know is, what does an office building rent for? What kind of expenses do they have to operate that building? Electricity or cleaning the snow off the parking lot and such. So we ask that information from all commercial property owners. And we mailed those out on March 31st. So we were requested that they send that information to us. We have on our website a fillable PDF of those forms. So if any of you are a commercial property owner and need to get those forms, you can get them off the website. And we encourage all commercial property owners to submit those. They're crucial to us. We cannot establish what the market is in Ossining without that information. Otherwise, we have to compile information from Westchester County as a whole, and that may not represent the actual what's going on in Ossining. So we really, really need that information, not just for the individual property we're appraising, but for all similar properties in town. So the next step, this is where we are. We're finally starting to do some of the fun stuff, or the stuff that I find fun anyway, and that is the valuation part of it. So we're going to start looking at what exactly is the market in Ossining like these days. So what is a property selling for? What's a ranch sell for? What's a condo sell for? All of that information we're starting to gather. We've been really gathering it for a couple of months. So we're taking a look at sales. So what we do for sales is we make sure that they're valid sales. The two people were family members. The property hasn't changed since the sale, which is pretty frequent. Someone buys a property and puts on an addition, then that sale price no longer reflects what's actually there because they've improved it since then. We're also looking at neighborhoods. So we're taking a look at how the town is going to get broken up for land values. So we are starting on our valuation. So the next few meetings that we do, we will talk more about value issues and less about the data collection. So maybe they'll be more interesting, maybe less, depending on what your interests are. So this is an idea. We use a lot of technology for this part of the process. So this is just a map showing all of the sales, which is kind of hard to read in the scale, but you can see there on the blow up that we have the sale price, and we're basically looking at pockets of value. So what we would typically expect to see is that you may have a lot of green in one particular area, and that's going to indicate that all the properties are selling in the $300,000 range or whatever those ranges are. So these are some of the things we use for our neighborhood delineation to help us determine where higher value properties are, lower value properties, and such. So land valuation is really, really important. It's one of the most important things we do. It is how we capture the locational differences. So when your real estate agent says location, 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 we all know that's the most important thing. So how do we capture that? We do it in a land value. And the land values stem from a neighborhood, because the neighborhood's going to say what amenities are in this particular area. Is it close to a train station? Is it close to the Hudson River? The pluses and the minuses will all get factored in. What's the housing stock like? We certainly don't want to compare a 50s area to a brand new subdivision. Those are going to sell for different rates. So how do we determine the land values? We look at land sales. We don't have a lot of those. You know, we're lucky to have maybe 20 land sales in the entire town. So we're going to look at approved sales too, to start determining what these land values should be. So just to update for you, the data collection, we're a little behind because of that snow. So we had hoped to finish in March. We are finishing up that now here in April. We have mailed the data mailers. We do hope that we'll be able to catch up and by the end of May have all the data mailers mailed to everyone. We have actually started our valuation analysis, so we'll be doing that for the next couple of months. We're going to look at all the properties again. So our final field review is from our car. Hopefully we won't be having to knock on your doors unless you've taken out a recent building permit. And then you'll get the new value, the impact notices. They're going to show your old and your new and what the potential impact on the taxes are in March of 2016. And then we'll have some informal reviews. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Michael, you have to show this in mic for the camera. Here, hold the
We got our data mailed back. Everything was fine except the age of my house. It was off by over 30 years. Does that make a difference?
Absolutely. Yeah, the age of the house is really, really important. We estimate the amount of depreciation. And so if it's a brand new house, it's not depreciated. The older a house gets, the more it is depreciated. So we get that information. Your bill almost, unless you have a plaque on your house, we're not going to know when your house was built. So we get that information from the existing records. And year built is actually one of the things we give to Fernando for him to take a look at to try to figure out. I mean, unless there was a real huge remodeling done and someone updated it should be the original year built. So we should correct that with no issue. Okay. Anyone else?
I have a simple question. I don't think I received a data number yet, so can you just say what it looks like? Is it in an envelope? I mean, this very basic question. What does it look like?
Comes in an envelope.
But that comes in an addressed envelope. so you're not gonna throw it out, it's not gonna look like a piece of, well, no, you know what I mean. It's not
I
gonna-
hope you're not gonna throw that.
Well,
Yeah,
the
it is,
brochures
it
were-
is, yeah, I mean, it does come in a regular envelope, it is tri-folded. I don't know exactly what it says on the, okay. Yeah, I don't know if it, like, the other one said, important assessment information, so, yeah.
Can you see it online? If you did throw it out, can you retrieve it online?
We do not have the ability to, you can see all the information that's on it. So you can do a screen print and send it back to us and we'll accept that as a data mailer. The reason that we didn't create one because it's dated, it's time stamped, and we didn't want to have people submitting multiple data mailers for the same property. So we had considered it. You can either call the office and ask for a replacement, or you can just print off exactly what we showed on the website, and then, yeah. I think I would buy it. There you go. You can just print that and correct that. It's got all the same information on your data mailer, so that's fine too. Yes, sir.
Hi, Aaron Spring. I was just wondering, if you don't get your house reassessed, are your taxes most likely to raise?
Well, everybody gets their house reassessed whether they want to or not, because I'm betting that a lot of people wouldn't want to if they had the option. Everybody's going to, everybody has their new reassessment. So what the goal of any reassessment is to equalize the taxes. So what the town raises in money is essentially the same, whatever, normal increases that happen in the budget, but we redistribute how people pay. So that means some people will go up, some people will stay the same, and some go down. The rule of thumb in our industry is a third, a third, a third. A third will go down, a third will stay the same, and a third will go up.
So technically, can you use the Fourth Amendment and talk about the private rights of the citizens to essentially make sure that like the inspectors don't necessarily come into your house and rather they just reassess it for you? Can you cite the Fourth Amendment to do that?
I'm not an attorney. I've had it cited to me about 400 times since I've been here. I get it in emails, I get it in phone calls. So the struggle that we have is that we have to balance the rights of privacy, which of course are very important, and our desire to have equitable assessments. So it's kind of like a catch-22, unfortunately, is that I'll get the question, well, aren't you rewarding the people that don't let you in? The people that let me in are going to say, well, you're rewarding them. They could be hiding this, they could be doing that, and it's certainly true they could be. But I don't think that everybody that doesn't allow us into their homes is hiding something. There are some people that they have a sick child, they have a dog, they don't want someone to see the mess. I mean, there's a million reasons you may not want me to come into the house. So all I'm trying to do is make sure that everybody's treated fairly. The only way I can do that is for us to verify that the information we're using is correct. So, you certainly don't have to let us in. So, several people, I don't know if you saw the slide that had, there were people that refused, maybe 300 people flat out refused to let us, even on their property. Sorry about that. That take me a minute. So, there we go. So there were 255 that didn't let us on the inside and 163 that refused completely. So do we penalize those people? No, but we have to estimate. I can't say that we're going to estimate, on the low side. That doesn't, it doesn't seem fair to me for the people that did let us in. So that's the balance, I guess. And I don't know the Fourth Amendment off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can look it up on Google or something.
Anything I get that's sent other than first-class mail goes directly into the trash. You send it first-class mail?
The only thing we didn't send first-class mail, and I can tell you, Fernando and I have had this conversation many times, if there's anything we were going to do differently, it was that. The brochure was sent bulk mail. Every other piece of mail that you get from us is first-class mail. Data mailers, first-class mail. Yeah, callback cards, first-class mail. And the impact notice will be first-class mail. Okay? Anyone else? Thank you very much for your time.
We're moving right along with our reassessment.
So the next item on our agenda, and if you have any questions about the agenda, and then we'll of course open up the mics at the end of that. The next item on our agenda, and you guys, if you don't mind, we have Michael sit over here, is Michael G. O'Connor has done a great job. And what we've been trying to figure out is only in the unincorporated area, which is the ribbon around the village of Ossining and the village of Briarcliff. We are trying to figure out where we should have no parking or where we have no parking that shouldn't be no parking. So I'm going to give the mic now to Michael G. O'Connor and Lieutenant Kevin Sylvester, who is our liaison from the Ossining Police. And so here you go, guys.
And Michael G. O'Connor.
Hi, well,
Thank you, Madam
Hey, no,
Supervisor, board members. I did not bring any slides or anything like that. Over the years, residents have complained about certain parking situations. A few months back, I approached the supervisor and I said, I'd like to do a study of what is no parking, where it's at right now, and try to look at it and see if there's anything that maybe should be changed, updated. And the supervisor said, good idea, go ahead and do that. So, having completed that, we've looked at the roads of the town of Ossining.
can you turn that computer off?
Okay. In our reviewing our roads, we have included a few that are not dedicated and some paper roads that have active vehicle access. We need to keep in mind that as we study the need for our parking regulations, keep this in mind. The work list contains 75 roads, 22. Thank you. 22 of these 75 roads have parking regulations, and 4 of those have multiple regulations. So, hold on. This page and a half, this half page, and this full page is the town's parking regulations. And they account for only 22 roads. And 4 of them have multiple regulations. 2 of them have 5 regulations. So it's spotty at times, as I call it, refer to it. So, but in analyzing the roads, we decide to give them a description. We have a normal road, which is just a regular neighborhood road. We have no outlet roads. Those are roads that almost all of them end at a cul-de-sac. We also have roads that are connector roads. They join various road structures. And the last one is I refer to as arterial roads. Roads that span the entire unincorporated area. They go from mostly south to north. They go from a village line, either the village of Briarcliff or the village of Ossining, up to, and our northern boundary is contiguous across the town of Newcastle. So we have 6 of those roads. We have 8 normal roads. We have 45 no outlet roads. I want to tell you, snow plowing cul-de-sacs is really tough. Our connector roads, we designate 17, and I said 6 aerial roads, arterial roads. So the arterial roads, which are important for various reasons, as I've designated them, is North State Road, Morningside Drive, Croton Dam Road, but only half of Croton Dam Road is a town road. The other half is a state road, Route 134. Hawks Avenue, but half of it is, again, New York State Road 134. Cedar Lane, and the combination of Old Albany Post Road, but not the dead end, and Quaker Bridge Road. So that makes up our 6 arterial roads. The nature of our arterial roads makes them important for the movement of emergency responders, police, ambulance, and fire, vehicles, as well as the movement of town municipal equipment. Given the important aspect of these roads, it is recommended an arterial road be classified as no parking. In the case of North State Road, Croton Dam Road, and Cedar Lane, they are currently listed as no parking. And we have spotty, no parking on the other 3 roads. Now, those arterial roads, I just want to point out that Morningside Drive is the least traveled of those 6 roads. So, and it does have some spotty areas of no parking. So the other ones, though, are heavy. In the case of Old Albany Post Road, Quaker Bridge Road, a lot of traffic on that, as well as we see traffic on Croton Dam Road. Even though our portion of Croton Dam Road has a weight limit, we see that travel a lot as well. So there is connector roads. There's 17 of them. Most of them have no regulations, but some of them do. Brookside Lane is a connector road. It connects New York State Road 133 and Westchester County Road, which is Ryder Road. And there's no parking on both sides. There are small roads that, again, have spotty areas that are partners connecting, as I say, roads that connect structures, roads from one side to the other side. And I'm not going to read the whole list. So of all of these connector roads, I'm only making 3 recommendations. One is Glendale Road. Now, Glendale Road is important because Glendale Road is in the town of Ossining from Quaker Bridge Road to the town line. Quaker Bridge Road and Glendale Road is in the upper western northern portion of the town. But that connects with Glendale Road in Newcastle and brings you all the way over to Spring Valley Road. It's not that wide, and there's other areas that you can get to off of Glendale Road, and we're recommending that for that small piece that we have it, make it no parking. The Hillcrest Avenue, the only thing need to be done here is address the wording. The wording is improper, and we classify the wording. We have a town road called McCord Road. Now, McCord Road, I guess 999,000 would never know where it is because it's Narragansett Avenue. That's what it says in the signs. But on all of our tax maps and everything else, it says McCord Road. And I'd like to return to that because Mr. McCord lost his life in World War I. And it's a heavy connector road. Narragansett Avenue is a road that a lot of people use, particularly when the problems on 9A. Our police department here is familiar with that, backs up, people jump off, get on Croton Dam Road and go on to Narragansett Road to try to get around to the other side where they can get back onto 9A, off of Ryder Road, or even stay on to other roads that are there in the village. And they're familiar with this. It happens all the time, whether it's storms or accidents. And so we just recommend that there be no parking. One of our normal roads, as we like to call, the only suggestion is because of its area, where it's at, they talked about location. Waterview Drive. Only the very portion of Waterview Drive that touches Quaker Bridge Road. And for both sides, what we call the north side and the south side of Waterview Drive, because Waterview Drive is basically east and west. That comes off of Quaker Bridge Road. For a small portion, we're asking for, recommending rather, no parking. It's an entrance, and it's quite wide. It is very wide, but yet the problem here is that people were coming up and parking there and then trespassing on private property to get down to the Croton Gorge and everything else. So the town board has met with the police and everything else, and one of the things, so that's part of our recommendation. Of the no outlet roads, and 45 no outlet roads, looking at only 6 of them. There's some spotty on Downey. Gaultier Lane has no parking on Gaultier Lane. Councilman Harder can remember when he and I served on the board a number of years ago. Gaultier Lane was one of those where it was located. They were getting heavy parking. The entire place was being parked by people that were living in apartments off of Cedar Lane and other areas of Cedar Lane. And every resident of Gaultier Lane came to the town board then and asked that the entire road be made no park. The town board said, fine, but you can't park there either. They were willing to live with that. They have lived with it. And that road is no parking completely. So, little history there, and Jeff, you probably recall it. Haymont Terrace has no parking on one side of it. Leewood Drive has spotty no parking. Studio Hill Road is spotty no parking. And Tappan Terrace has spotty. Tappan Terrace is one of those roads that has 5 entries in the no parking regulations. It is recommended that we modify some and add others from the no parking regulations. The no outlet roads and modify this. Follows some of the recommendations are, there's only 4 recommendations, and that is Downey Road be removed from the no parking list because it's not contiguous to all the other parking regulations that are up and down that street. It just doesn't make sense. Leewood Drive needs to be, wording has to be modified or delete the entry. I'm not even reading. I read it to the good lieutenant here, and it just doesn't make sense. Studio Hill Road, we were talking about Studio Hill Road. The Haymont House went out, but another restaurant is coming back in. About 60% or more of Studio Hill Road is currently no parking, so we're only talking about the other 40%. And of course, if you factor in the fact that you can't park within 20 feet of a corner, we're talking about even less than that. So, should we recommend to do it? And Tappan Terrace, rather, has to have some modified changes. There's also, we had regulations following no outlet roads. Robin Drive, because of problems that necessitated having the police come up to Robin Drive, phone calls from residents there recommending that Robin Drive be no parking, both sides.
It's very narrow.
Very narrow. If you passed it, you just would think it was a driveway. Leewood Drive, again, spotty. I'm sorry, lost of places. Stanley Avenue, we have a problem with the people parking in the entrance of Stanley Avenue. Recommendation is that on the north side of Stanley Avenue for 100 feet in, that there be no parking. And Sunset Drive, which is another very narrow street off of North State Road. And I talked to the resident, the only resident that's right there abutting that, the others are businesses, and the gentleman has no problem with that becoming no parking on that side of Sunset Drive into the corner. There is a standing law, no parking from here to corner. In the state of New York, there is to the, what would that be called? Is the vehicle traffic laws of the state? Yes, it would be found. Thank you, Kevin. Section 12-02-2-B, there's no parking within 20 feet of a corner. That's, so you, because it's a state law, we're not required to actually put any signs up. Is that correct? So that's just a standing law. We can make it longer than that, but we can't make it shorter than that. So we're stuck with 20 feet. If we had an intersection, we want to make it 50 feet no parking. They allow us to do that. But we'd have to sign it. We'd have to sign that. But you don't have to sign it, you leave it at 20 feet. So every intersection, you figure if we have a total of 75 roads, that's, you know, do them, you know, a couple of, it's probably 200 intersections or more in the entire town. That would be an awful lot of signs to put up. So it's common sense that when we're not parked on the very corner of a street, it makes it difficult for turning large vehicles like fire trucks or garbage trucks. And it does not make sense to place a no parking from here to corner on every intersection. But if we see a particular intersection becoming a problem, we can just install a sign. All right. Now, what in this okay, I'm sorry. If we see a particular intersection becoming a problem, we can just install a sign, no parking from here to corner, without changing any regulations. I wanted to bring up into this study paper roads. We have residential vehicles using paper roads. We have in the town a number of paper roads. Some of these roads are in use by residents to come and go to their homes. Conditions vary. Some are in poor condition, some are in better shape, with some having blacktop surfaces. The following is our paper roads with vehicle traffic. Deer Trail. Deer Trail is located off of Gordon Avenue and has blacktop and leads up to Hillcrest Drive, which is another paper road, only the south portion of Hillcrest Drive. Dogwood Lane is located off of Old Albany Post Road next to the village line. Grafton Road is located off of Morningside Drive, approximately at 100 Morningside Drive, and goes down to a dead end with several arms coming off for the residents. All right. Hillcrest Drive, the southern part of Hillcrest Drive, is located off of Deer Trail with some blacktop and some catch basins, and I'd say almost a half a dozen houses. Hillcrest Drive on the northern part is located off of River Parkway, which is off of the end of Gordon Avenue. And there's some homes in there, but the north and south portions of Hillcrest Drive are not connected. McCarthy Drive is off of Stormy Town Road. It's part blacktop, part dirt, and has many houses. Partridge Lane. Yes, we have Partridge Lane. I can't think of that bus every time I pass it. And it's located off of Gordon Avenue and only has one house. Suggested further review of spotty no parking on Morningside Drive, Tappan Terrace, Reback Drive, White Birch Drive, Locust Road. And we're just recommending further study. We're not recommending or suggesting anything be done with those roads at this time. So now we cut to the chase, and this is suggestions to take into consideration of looking at our current parking, no parking regulations in our town code. I suggest the removal of the entry with the street name Crossroad. This street is covered as Peugeot Drive. Somehow it got listed twice and it was never taken out when Peugeot Drive was put in. By the way, all this is available online. You can go in online and look at the town code and look at what the no parking is.
And your whole report is on
Yes. They modify Hawks Avenue, the one Hawks Avenue entry. The current entry actually describes an area of the road that's in fact the New York State Newton 9A right-of-way. And we do not regulate state roads. And we want to change that to read that from 9A out to the town line for that portion would be no parking. Modify the entry for Croton Dam Road location, and it's the way it's worded. Just to say from the village line to Kitchaquan Road. Right now it says its entire length, which is wrong because half of the road is a state road. Modify the entry Hillcrest location to read from Stansted Avenue to Fowler Avenue. It's misquoted. It's going from Old Albany Post Road, and that's wrong. Modify the entry of North State Road location to read from the village line to the town line, because the actual village line is about 10 feet from the start of Chappaqua Road. This would make it more accurate. Modify the entry of Old Albany Post Road to read both, and location to read from the village line to Quaker Bridge Road. This will replace all the spotty, no parking on that road. That road is a very active road. It's our most northerly west road, and it does see a lot of traffic. And modify, and it has, again, 5 entries in the current code for Old Albany Post Road. Modify the entry of Old Albany Post Road to the side to read both, and location to read from Quaker Bridge Road to the town line. This is the area that we always refer to as the dead end. And it just cannot accommodate any parked cars at all on that road. The people have niches to park or driveways in some cases, but there's no active parking on that road itself. Okay. And then to remove all the other entries of Old Albany Post Road should be removed. Modify the entry of Quaker Bridge Road side to read both, and location to read from Old Albany Post Road to the town line. Currently, the entry for Quaker Bridge Road stops at Glendale And so, but Quaker Bridge Road continues for approximately another 200 to 250 feet, and it's not covered by the regulations to make it wood. We want to remove one entry on Leawood Drive. This entry has a starting point and an ending point at the same location. And I'm sure you attended this thing, and I read it to Lieutenant Sylvester, who, by the way, just graduated law school, and I read this to him, and he just shook his head. So, then on Tappan Terrace, we have 5 entries there. Now, at this time, Tappan Terrace needs study. It needs to really study more. I've had residents ask for one side of the street to be no parking. We welcome their suggestions, we welcome those things, but we're not. But to be accurate, the corrections to the 2 of the, actually 4 places within the code in 2 different locations. They used the plate, block, plate number, lot number system that was in effect 25 years ago and was never changed. And so what I did was I went to the assessor's office and I got the corrected numbers, and we're recommending that these be changed, and we put the corrected numbers in here. Now we're only adding 7 suggestions. Of the 7, 2 of them have to do with Waterview Drive, so that's where that area is there. 3 of them have to do with dead ends. So we're only adding really 2 large roads, but we wish to add Robin Drive, suggesting that both sides, you heard that before, cul-de-sac. McCord Road, both sides, from Croke Dam Road to the village line. Glendale Road, both sides, from Quaker Bridge Road to the town line. The 2 water views. The dead end, which is at Sunset Drive, only on the north side for 205 feet. And Stanley Avenue on its north side from Old Albany Post Road for 100 feet. And those are the only additions to all of the regulations. So therefore, the predominance of still, the town roads will have no parking regulations. And the only reason why these are being recommended is because in analysis, we think that this is better for the motoring public, better for the movement of emergency vehicles and the traveling public. Also that we don't have any problems, because there is no room on a lot of these roads, in particular Old Albany Post Road, should there be a parked car. Any parked car, any car coming down on that lane of travel would have to cross over the double yellow line to get around the car, because there's just insufficient rules. And I don't know whether that is to a ticket for now going over the double line. Another note, and the last note, is that all no parking signs must be no more than 200 feet apart. If they span over 200 feet, you have to arrange the signs so that they're no more than 200 feet apart. So theoretically, if you park your car wherever you park it, you shouldn't have to walk more than 100 feet in either directions to look to see that there's a no parking sign. I'm assuming that's why that rule is in effect.
And just to remind everyone, we are continuing our, during winter months, our no parking overnight in the unincorporated area.
Yes, there is still no parking from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., November 1st to April 1st, and hope I'm correct on that. And, but it's one of the things that the highway department would like to do, and we don't know if it's done in other communities. And we get difficulty. People legally park their car in front of their driveways, in front of the house. We're actively plowing snow, and we have to go around. I don't mean to take this up tonight, but it is something that my men complain all the time. So when the car is moved, there's now a mound of snow there that, is higher and a little bit tougher to push to the side. And of course, that's when we break a mailbox, we break a fence, because now we're pushing a lot of snow that one spot is there. So I don't know whether or not we can, how to get around that. We should investigate it. But there's a few people out there that just don't cooperate, and they do park their cars while it's snowing on the road.
Even if it's not at 3 a.m.
Right, even if it's not at 3 a.m., 6 a.m. So
we just want
therefore,
everyone to cooperate.
we can't toll them, and we can't, do anything, but I don't know how other communities fare doing that. What we should do is just maybe make a nice note up and put it on the car and say, please don't do this, you know, and go
Put it
back.
in our supervisor's update.
And, you know, ask them to please not to do that, so we'll try to get them to understand the difficulties of snow plowing when the cars are left on the road. I'm willing to now answer any questions on any of the roads that I mentioned or what we've just requested to ask.
We're going to ask you to go up to the mic and say your name and address and ask your questions, please. Hi.
Jerry Gershner at 42 Stonegate Road. Thank you, Michael. That was very impressive. So am I to assume that in order for no parking to be legal so that when Lieutenant Sylvester has nothing better to do, he can go write tickets, it has to be designated in the town code as no parking? Is that the right assumption?
That's completely correct. You must, it has to be online. Like if somebody gets a ticket, one of the things is like a stop sign. One of the very famous ones, you're going through a stop sign. You actually go and look at the code, and if that stop sign is not in the code, the fact that physically it's there, but if it's not in the code, it's not there.
So I presume this is now a change of policy, because I understand that in the last couple of years, no parking signs have been erected without amending the town code.
I can't speak for that. We've tried in my tenure to be accurate. What has happened is Con Edison has removed poles that had no stop signs on it. And, you know, on our end, we didn't think to go out and say, hey, wait a minute, let's grab our sign off the pole before they took it away. And that happened in places in Crotonville where they changed poles and there were now no longer no parking signs. And you do have to, besides putting it in the code, you must put the signs to notify the public that this is in fact the town code for this particular street, for this side of the street, and that there's no parking. So without the no parking sign, you can't give a no parking ticket, and it must also be in the code.
Well, have we put up any no parking signs in the last year or two without amending the town code?
We have put up temporary no parking signs on Quaker Bridge Road, Old Albany Post Road, and the entrances to Waterview during the summer months, so that we, working with the coalition from Croton and Portland, can control the traffic over there. I believe you're referring to the no parking signs that are on physical parkland at Lewis Angle Waterfront Park, Mr. Gershner.
I was going to question that, yes.
And that's parkland. That is not a road. It is not a parking area. Should we decide to make it a parking area, we can sit at another meeting and discuss making it parking spots instead of going up on curbs. And we can talk about the fact that we would let anybody in the park to use those spots. So we can talk about that in another meeting, but this is literally on-street parking.
So those parking signs were legally installed?
That's parkland.
It's
not, it is not a road.
No, but were those parking signs legally installed?
It is parkland. You can ask people not to park in non-specific parking spots, and if they do it, you can put up signs. So yes.
So they were legally installed?
Yes, Mr.
They were, okay. And you don't have to amend the town code to do that?
If people want to make more parking spots for Lewis Angle Waterfront Park, we would be glad to sit down with everyone and go over cutting it out and making it, and putting in blacktop and making them spots, if that's what people want to do. It is a curb, there's a curb there, and there's grass there. We just ask people not to park, well, it's not grass anymore, it's dirt, but we ask people not to park there. Thank you.
Well, you're telling them not to park there.
Okay?
All right.
Parkland.
It's parkland. So parkland, you could put no parking signs anywhere on parkland, and it doesn't have to be in the town code.
It was parkland, they're not parking spots. It's not a road, and it's not parking spots.
Is there a differentiation between parkland and roads?
I'm going to read section 188-11, parking is standing prohibited at all times. No vehicle of any kind shall be parked or shall be allowed to remain standing on the following highways including the shoulders thereof, in the unincorporated area of the town of Ossining, New York. And then, so the list goes down. But this only refers to dedicated town roads. You notice that Route 134, 133, Route 100, all which 9A, all traverse the town, they come under state regulations. They're not, any of them listed here.
So then I'm guessing that the parking signs that were installed outside the Ossining Boat and Canoe Club were not legally installed.
It's not a road, it's not a parking spot. We simply didn't want people to jump up on the curb and park there. And that's all we're going to say. Thank you for your comment.
And did you, and I believe that the police issued parking tickets.
Parked it. If you park on the grass in a park or on inside the park, you can get parking tickets. It's not a designated parking spot.
And when the police were called to issue parking tickets, what happened to those tickets if they were issued?
I don't know, Mr. Gershner. I don't.
I would suggest you check with the court.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Aaron Spring, I live on 64 Meadow Road. I was just wondering, in terms of parking.
You're going to have to hold it, only because they have to hold it close to you.
Okay. In terms of parking, recently the church on Walden Road across from Ossining High School is no longer a church and there was no parking there. Can you now park there since it is closed? It's basically...
That's the Village of Ossining. We don't control the parking in the Village of Ossining. So we're talking about the we're the local government for the unincorporated area, which is like the ribbon around the Village of Briarcliff and the Village of Ossining. So if you had a question on that, I know what you're talking about. It's the right across, right? You should ask, you go to the Village of Ossining and ask them.
Okay, thank you.
Or you can come and see Lieutenant Sylvester, since he is the Ossining police for both the village and the town in Hilton.
Oh, can he answer now?
You could just clarify exactly where you're talking about.
Okay, so across from Ossining High School's Walden Street, and right before you get onto, I believe it's Overton, there is a church on the corner, or was a church, and there's no parking 20 feet from the curb, like anywhere else. There's also about 100 feet where people still don't park, because there was no parking before when it was a church, but now...
Let me check. You know where the parking lot is?
High school. Behind high school.
Yeah, it's the little sign church, yeah.
If you're talking about 20 feet from the curb, that's a state law, so it's in the vehicle and traffic laws.
I'm talking about behind the 20 feet, where there's still about 100 feet.
Are there signs there now? I mean, I'm not particularly familiar with the signages there off the top of my head, but are there signs there that say no parking?
Not that I know of, no.
If it's not signed as no parking, I would see no reason you couldn't park there, but I'd have to go double check that in person, off the top of my head.
But you are right, it's not a church.
Okay, thank you.
Or I studied it recently, but then about winter parking.
No, this is 365 days a year. On the both sides of Morningside Drive, from 300 feet west of the Ryder Park entrance to 900 feet east of Ridgeview Drive, there is no parking on both sides.
So that's from between Chappaqua and Ryder?
No,
Both of those?
yes, but it's only from 300 feet west of Ryder Park. Now, the road is really north-south. Ryder Park is to the west of it, so the whole, what's written here doesn't make sense.
Right, that's fine.
So I'm only right, I gotta go by what's in the law. And to an entrance that's 900 feet east of Ridgeview Drive. 900 feet east of Ridgeview Drive is, you're almost down to North State Road. So, it's one of these things that I'm not recommending we change it, because it just doesn't make sense, but the fact is that they intended to put some legislation in for a portion of Morningside Drive.
So between where I am, which is between Ryder and then the town of Newcastle, there's no...
No, in that area, there's no restrictions whatsoever. But the road is not that wide.
But there's no change?
No.
Okay. None of this stuff. Excellent.
I do. I feel like I'm stuck though.
I'll come to you.
I'm so sorry.
Judge is moving.
I just have a quick question. My name is Jessica Bauer, and I'm at 250 Camisco. About the parking. If I was to go to the park, where would I park if these new signs were placed?
You mean Ryder Park?
The one that the gentleman before was speaking of, the new signs. And I believe that, I think I read a piece of literature that talked about the amount of permit parking. I think Metro North has some. I'm assuming it's down by the train station.
There's about a 10-space parking lot it's by the train station, it's by Ossining Boat and Canoe Club, and there's a small parking lot in there that's for park use only. That's so if you park there and you're commuting, you're more than likely to get a ticket there.
Okay.
Monday through Friday, all the parking spots outside of that, right towards Metro North, are either metered or tagged, all the way down and all the way up to the Snowden Bridge. Okay? So, and then on the other side, of course, but we'll just talk about this side. So there's about 10 spaces there. If you want to use the park, what we're in the midst of talking about right now is creating more parking spots closer to the spray park and the playground so that people have children that they can park closer to where the playground is, which is way down by Sing Sing, right by the prison, right? So we're talking about doing down there. But right now, the spots that are there are the 10 spots that are in that small parking lot.
And could I just get real quick, how many spots did these new signs take away from that area?
There were no spots. It was just parking. It was where the boats used to be kept for Ossining Boat Club. It's not real parking spots. But we can certainly talk about creating parking spots there for people to use when they're visiting the park.
Okay, so that land is primarily exclusive to the park, so it's...
The whole thing, from the fence, from the Harbor Square fence, over to where the Westchester sewage plant is, including the beaches, is all a town park.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome.
Also, I'm new to this type of forum, so I'm hoping I didn't miss the window on some questions regarding, it wasn't necessarily related to the Tyler presentation, but some questions about the condo association situation with the Homestead Act. So
Right.
at the end of this, is there a time?
There sure is, and but just to lay your fears, the board has decided not to pursue the homestead option at all during this whole reassessment.
Okay, so could I ask my question on that?
Well, why don't you
Or
wait until we're
till
done
the
with
end?
this, and
Okay.
then we'll open it up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for understanding.
Yep.
Hello, Liz Feldman, 122 Underhill Road, Ossining, New York. Just for a point of interest, the spaces that you're talking about, the DEC, when we were working on the stormwater runoff plans, had us put sand there so that it has proper drainage coming from the parking lot and the train station. So that's not an area that we can pave. So if that's in your plans to look into, you need to involve the DEC and talk with the sand.
Thank you.
about the sand.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you very much. Well, Liz, Commodore of OPCC.
Mike, I'd like to ask a question. The New York law about the 20-foot thing, what, from a corner is 20 foot?
Yes, sir.
Who knows this other than you now?
Well,
And the people here.
unfortunately,
Without signing it, without putting signs.
We have a soon-to-be lawyer, we have a lawyer, and we have another lawyer, and they'll tell you that ignorance of the law is no excuse. And so therefore, if you're ignorant of this law and you didn't know it, you're still subject to get a ticket for it, and that's it. We're not required to put up signs for 20 foot, nor do we want to. Thank you. Oh my God, 200 intersections of signs. But the way that law is written, and I paraphrased it, that unless otherwise posted, so in other words, if it's 30 feet or 40 feet or 50 feet, it must be posted. But if it's just 20 feet, it's not posted.
One more question, and that is, well, actually, it's not a question, but I think it should be stated that, you know, for the audience, what a paper road is.
I only brought it up, paper roads, is because I had all the roads listed on our spreadsheets and everything else for the board, and I thought it was important that I include the paper roads. Now, a paper road is, there's no one definitive answer, and I know that our town attorney is going to point me out. There's no one definitive answer for each particular paper road. Some of the paper roads are there, and the homeowners may own to the middle. Other paper roads are there, and we know because on the town board, we sold portions of the paper road off of Ryder Avenue and off of Gordon. We sold portions of it. So the town owned the paper road. But these paper roads, some of the paper roads, are not used at all. There is no tire tracks whatsoever. But there are paper roads. They are not designated roads, so they're not on our local road inventory. We don't get any CHIPS money for these paper roads. They don't. Well, they don't meet any standards. And the people that egress and egress to their homes on these paper roads know this. Some of them take chip and money and put down some gravel and things like that to facilitate. But the town highway department cannot spend any money to fix a paper road. Now, there's one little exception there, and I talked to this town attorney some time ago, and that was on McCarthy Drive, because we have water mains, and we have municipal water and municipal sewer under that road. It's the only one that has it. And therefore, at times, the road has to be fixed, or the water main break, and therefore we fix the patch. We fix the water main patch, but that's all we do. And in the case of McCarthy, because of the amount of homes in there, and that years ago there was a major incident that the town board decided 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, that it would plow McCarthy Drive because of the safety factor of the amount of homes that are in there. And there was an ambulance that could not get in. There was a situation, and then so for the last 25 years, the town has plowed McCarthy Drive, but not the other paper roads are not plowed.
That's not the question. That wasn't what I asked. I asked you to explain what a paper road is, not how you do it. I know what they are.
Okay. A paper road, in my understanding, and is that it's not owned. When you look at the tax map, you go online, you click on the tax map, the paper road, in all the ones that I look at, is owned by the town of Ossip. It's not owned by the adjoining property owners, according to the tax map and the information on the tax map. So I want to make that clear because I'm going to get yelled at. But now I have a map here, and we actually have River Park.
Very simple. Is on? Yeah. Very simple. A paper road is not a dedicated road. It's not an actual town road. It appears on, guess what? Paper. Perhaps an old subdivision map that was never taken by dedication by the town, and it's not technically the responsibility of the town, although obviously there are some exceptions that you may have heard, but there shouldn't be.
Anybody else have any road questions? I do. Okay.
I'm sorry to bring this back up, but to help maybe from the premise, I think of going to a park, and it would just be very unappealing to see all no parking signs. So just help me along with it. Michael, is it?
Yes, Michael.
That area, was it always plowed in the winter? And in the past, have people been under the assumption assumption that they could park in this area if going to this park.
This is not a road, it's not paved, it's sand
Okay.
and drainage, as Liz said before, Liz Bell.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
The parking lots in the park are plowed
Okay.
constantly
At the Parks Department.
by the Parks Department.
Okay.
Okay, and so there is always parking, you know, as Metro North and the Village of Austin need to plow their lots all the time. And the circle around where there's a planter in the middle is plowed all the time. So if it's road and it's asphalt, it's plowed.
Okay.
Okay.
And is that where those signs have been?
No, and there's only 2 of them. It's
Okay.
not all over the place, you know, but we'll look at it with everybody, and we'll look at it with the DEC in the near future. Because if it was parking spots,
Well, have
then we would plow them. Yeah, if they.
Was there an issue previously that signs would have to go up to say no parking?
Well, it's actually dirt, and we felt that we did not want people parking for that. On
Okay,
dirt.
so really
or it should be open to everyone.
No curbs or grass or sidewalks?
It's curbs.
There's curbs. Okay.
Okay, thank you. But you're more than welcome, and again, the town of Austin Parks, which this is a park, as is Gerlach, Cedar Lane, Ryder Park, another thing in park? Sally Slope Park, Little Lit Park. We invite everyone in the town of Austin, they're all town parks, so you can live in Briarcliff, the Village of Austin, or the unincorporated area to enjoy those parks whenever you're
Well,
allowed.
I think one of our highlights to our towns is the river. So to try to draw attention to it and then have signs where people wouldn't be able to enjoy the environment because, and I'm not familiar with it, so thank you
So I
for
would
clarifying.
clarify,
There were
really,
only 2 signs.
take a ride and go down there.
But
It's
it would just
absolutely
be
gorgeous.
disheartening to draw attention
There is-
to the river, but not really be able to utilize any space.
Go
to-
down there, you'll see that the 10-spot parking lot, and there's also, I want to point out, there are 3 spots that are for trailers because we have the boat ramp there. And so they're very long spots so that we can have trailer parking there. And those are marked for trailers, cars with boat trailers. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions on roads? Now, I'm not sure if anybody actually got here. Did anyone get here for the community choice aggregation? Oh, there you are. Oh my God, Leo, I'm so sorry.
We're done?
You're done.
Okay.
So I was wondering if you would join us Thank you very, very much. Oh, I just wanted, well, Leo's getting, Leo Wigman is the mayor of Croton, but he's also very involved in Sustainable Westchester, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the community choice aggregation. But I just want to point out that our next steps on this road, on this no parking, is that we will put it together, Corporation Council, town attorneys will put it together. We will have another public hearing on the issue, because that is required when we make any changes. And before we move forward, we'll listen to everyone. And this is posted on the webpage. It's been slightly revised, so we'll post the newest edition of it on the webpage, so you can read it over at your leisure. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you get Mike, and then we have a question mark.
Okay.
Get it all closed.
My name is Leo Weekman. I'm here as the mayor of the village of Croton on Hudson, directly to the north. And we're always happy to collaborate with our sister cities, towns, and villages. There is a new potential program available, and it's being piloted in Westchester County. And the cities, towns, and villages in Westchester County that comprise Sustainable Westchester, which is a new nonprofit that's been formed, petitioned the Public Service Commission in December to enable a pilot program in Westchester County that goes under the name of Community Choice Aggregation, or otherwise known as Municipal Electric and Gas Aggregation. And we use the abbreviation CCA for Community Choice Aggregation, but I'll try to avoid acronyms. I have just a brief description of what the opportunity is. Many of us receive, and this is a program that's worked very successfully in Massachusetts and Illinois and in California and Pennsylvania.
and saved homeowners and small local business people 15% or more on their electric bills over the course of the year, depending on what the rates are to begin. The idea is we're all besieged with energy service companies that want us to switch from our local provider, Con Edison, to their rate. And we get these mailings all the time. And under community choice aggregation, what a community does is it chooses to opt into the program. It aggregates, together with working with the local utility Con Edison, it aggregates all of the electric usage from all of the households and businesses in that community, and works with an entity such as Sustainable Westchester, because we'll be doing this in multiple municipalities in Westchester, to take that energy supply and get a procurement bid for that has the characteristics that this municipality and the other municipalities want. If you want to get 25% green energy, clean energy for that, if you want a time of use rate for that, the very characteristics that you want. And the state petition that was approved only allows us to go forward with this if there are future forward savings for you, if the rate that you're going to be paying being lower than the rate you would be paying if you stayed with your default supplier.
Which is Con Edison.
Which is Con Edison for us here. And it's no secret to any of us in the room here that we have had some very steep electric rate increases. We know we have reliability issues with the grid, and there are ways to work with this program to help on the reliability side as well. So for the first time ever in New York State, as of 5 weeks ago, municipalities in Westchester County can opt into a program called Community Choice Aggregation. There's a draft resolution which I'm happy to circulate. This is simply a little one-page fact sheet if you want to share that with the board. And I could share any of this as well with you electronically. We're asking organizations, the cities, towns, and villages in Westchester County who want to be able to pass on the savings that would be potentially available under community choice aggregation to their ratepayers, their constituents, to pass a simple resolution, a one-page resolution that describes what this program is, and then we will then work with you. We, being Sustainable Westchester, will then work with each of the municipalities that have opted into this to get the aggregate information from Con Edison about how much electricity, how many kilowatt hours there are, and how many accounts in your jurisdiction, and we'll aggregate those and put together a bid and go out to bid probably in July or August, but at the latest by December for this year. Latest by December, we think. There are a couple of, we're working out a couple, since this has never been done before in New York, and New York has home rule, and New York has, I have to say, a very cooperative, Con Edison, and we were on the phone with Con Edison today, and some people in the northern and western, eastern parts of the county have New York State Electric Gas, NYSEG, as their provider. So we're working with both utilities together. They've designated people to work with us, and now we're in discussions with them about just the details of how to do this properly in terms of the data and the handshakes and that sort of thing. But we anticipate that this program would basically reach its full flower, if you will, its full benefit for all of 2016. If somebody currently has already bought their supply, electric supply, through a third party, through somebody other than Con Edison, they'll be staying with that program unless they want to opt into and they see a better rate come through when this offering is made available. So if you're happy with your third party supplier, you stay there, no problem, no worries. If you are in the program and don't like the offering that is put forward by the Community Choice Aggregation Program, you can opt out of it and go back to Con Edison. Generally speaking, in other jurisdictions, homeowners have seen savings of 5, 10, 15, 20%, depending on what the base rates were. And here, we're not sure what those savings will be, but we think we can not only affect the savings over time by having a very large volume that we're bidding, but also if Croton and Austin together want to try to have 25% green energy in the mix, we can mandate that, and the price might be slightly different for that, but that would be our choice, and that's why it's called community choice aggregation. I don't know whether I emailed any draft resolutions, but I can certainly take care of doing that.
Well, what is it? One of the questions that we brought up, because we had Mike Gordon come and make a presentation to us, and his philosophy is that you have to listen to this several times to truly understand it. So one of the questions is yes, if you wanted to choose to go and bulk buy your energy, right now most people are paying about 28 cents a kilowatt, okay, in Con Ed land. All right. So you'd be looking to reduce that price. Many of us left Con Edison, and I, for instance, signed with a company, and I said, I only want green energy, I want wind power or solar power, and I don't want to buy. You choose, your rate might go up a little bit, but you choose whether it goes up and down. I actually had my rate go down. I know Eric had his rate go up a little bit when he chose to go with green energy. One of the questions that we asked, and which we think is important, is that we're in the middle of this Solarize program. So we're in Solarized Austin, Briarcliff, you have Solarized Croton, Portland. And we're urging our folks to go solar power. And one of the things that we'd like to see, to make this a very attractive package, is also to come up with a bulk buying so that we can reduce the cost of our natural gas. We have a lot of homes here that are heated with natural gas. You know, we have oil heat too, but a lot of homes are heated with natural gas. And if you went solar, your Con Edison bill would still have your basic rate on it, but you would still have, in the winter, it would be higher because you have natural gas heat. I'm an example of that. So one of the questions was, are we looking to do the same bulk buying for natural gas? And Mike Gordon indicated that yes, that was going to be one of the things put out in the RFP. So I just want to clarify with people that this would be, if the town decided to do this, for us it would be the unincorporated area. We would definitely, even though not required, we would have a public hearing because we like to get input from all of our residents. And it would be for people that, and you can correct me, I just want to reiterate it, people that stayed with Con Ed when the deregulation happened. So when deregulation happened, his battery's up there, Maddie, too. If you stayed with Con Ed, it didn't do anything to your electric bill that you're paying for Con Ed, and that's who the people would default over to this new community choice aggregation. So it is something that you want to involve the residents and commercial property owners in. So I just wanted to emphasize about the gas portion of it too, since we are asking people to go solar too.
So that's absolutely correct. The Public Service Commission included natural gas and electric specifically in its approval petition, in the approval order on the petition. So our discussions with Con Edison and NYSEG have started with electric, and once we figure out how to do all the handshakes, we'll then move right to gas. But we're not likely to go out to bid for both of those at the same time, but the goal is, ideally, we'll get the gas bid, the electric bid out, and then we'll just sort of rinse and repeat our process for all the gas accounts. And the reason we're starting with electric is everybody has electric, but not everybody has gas.
Right.
But
this whole town does it.
Right, and some of the towns that are opting in have very little gas.
Right.
But we definitely want to address gas. The same, of course, is true in Croton as well, in terms of number of gas customers. And we think, as a rule, that there are probably about 20% of all customers for electric have opted out of Con Edison's supply and gone to a different supplier. And sometimes those. Well, that's the figure they gave us today. We thought it was might be a little higher, but that's their figure for the entire county. Again, that was off the top of their head. But and you may find if you currently have a different supplier that we may be able to obtain the same attributes you want at a lower price.
The key is that it's gonna be lower.
Yeah, that going into the future, that you'll be paying less if you're in the program, community choice program.
I do have a question. So would Con Ed or Green Mountain, or whatever it's Green Energy, be a potential bidder? Because I don't think that Con Ed currently offers that.
No, he's gonna repeat it, so, because Eric's gonna
So
feel.
would they offer something that they don't already offer, which is a bulk rate?
So
Con Ed and Green Energy.
Yeah, so Councilman Baja's question is whether existing suppliers such as Green Mountain is one, or Con Ed would participate in the bulk purchase, the lower price bulk program, the community choice. They very well might. When we put these bulk packages together, they're going to be big packages. And that probably means that some of the bigger national energy suppliers will take a look at them, which is what has happened in Illinois and other places. At least those that want to play in the deregulated market that we have in New York State. We fully expect that one of those potential bidders is a company called Con Ed Solutions, which is a sister company of Con Ed, the telephone pole and wire company. And so they clearly would have expressed interest in keeping track of this process and being aware of the bid process when we get there. On the gas side, the same would be true. There are going to be large gas supply companies, and there are companies like Hess that do both gas and electric procurement or sales. So we expect that part of the administrative legwork that will be done for the cities, towns, and villages in Westchester that opt in is Sustainable Westchester will actually put together all the information, all the RFP process for that, and handle the drafting of the options and let you review them and let you choose. When we're all is said and done, there may be several different kinds of packages that are bid on, and let you choose which package you want to put forward or make available to your residents and constituents. And it's definitely our goal to get to the gas, get the gas bid before the next winter hits. I mean, gas prices, natural gas prices have come down a little bit, but they're starting to go back up again. And we know that they're relatively sensitive to potential supply disruptions.
This might not actually come up as much for the unincorporated town, although I think we do have one or two, but if we have apartment buildings, I was thinking, houses are easier, but if we have apartment buildings and they are Con Ed, in Con Ed, would they, if we did do this, do they automatically get put in? I mean, do landlords know and get notice?
And it's from houses too. Well, yeah.
So part of our discussion with Con Edison and NICEAG this morning was that we take a very broad and generous view of the types of customers, electric and gas customers, that the Public Service Commission approval included. We think it includes everybody. And Con Ed was sort of saying, well, I don't know. So we're asking for a clarification from the Public Service Commission. And there are, as you may know, there are service classifications that you fall into as a user. And they have special names, and there are special tariffs that are associated with those that are approved by the Public Service Commission. So we want to grab the residential and small commercial, and there are a lot of 1 to 4 family homes fit in the small commercial world. We'd like to go up to the rate classes where there are small factories or business or office parks that pay a demand charge as well. We kind of want to bring those in. Relative to apartment buildings, they may be individually metered, in which case those homeowners or apartment dwellers who pay their own electric would be included. But if they're master metered, that's probably they're not paying the same rate because the electric market doesn't work the way any other marketplace works in North America. But we want to try to grab as many different categories of customers, and we may, in putting bids together, an RFP for bids, the energy companies will come back with different rate classes for the different, that match the public service rate classes. And the homeowners use the least electricity to pay the most. That's just the way the electric market is upside down. That way.
Anybody have any questions? It's complicated and we're trying to...
It's very simple. We just want to save people money.
Yeah, the key is they want to save money.
It works while you sleep.
It sounds more.
Wendy Masterman, 10 Morningside Court, Austin. You mentioned my most hated word, demand. I consider myself a small business, but you said that the bigger businesses pay demand. Wow. If I was to do this and my business was eligible, would I stop paying demand?
No, do you know?
I have solar and I overproduce. I produce almost 100%. So last year I overproduced, the year before I was just slightly under. So nobody makes much money on me, except Con Ed makes a lot on demand.
I should have probably not have mentioned demand, but it's probably the fact that you pay delivery. So if you have a house...
I do pay delivery, but that's very low. It's the demand that's very high. I pay hundreds of dollars a month in demand.
For a small
and the way it's well, I consider myself a small business. I have a small daycare center. I don't know if equally I'm a small business.
Well, so
economically probably
yeah, for most homeowners, there's something called the supper bump. At least that's what I call it. If you look at how much electricity is flowing through the meters all around Westchester County, everyone gets up in the morning, boom, makes coffee, and the usage goes up. And then everyone sort of leaves for work or settles down, and usage goes down. And then it's sort of, then in the middle of the afternoon, people our home have air conditioners, it'll pick up a little bit, but it'll level off. And then everybody comes home at 6 o'clock, turns the stove on and the TV, and who knows what else. And in the summer, the air conditioner kicks back on, right? For real. So there's this big supper bump in the afternoon. That's the highest throughout the year. That's the highest amount of usage. And so electric, we can typically think of electricity as the bill for most homeowners containing kilowatt hours, which is 1,000 watts that's used over the course of 1 hour. But turning on all the appliances in a house doesn't really require that can all be delivered over that little wire that comes to your house. But if you have a factory where you're turning, or a daycare center where you have, you may have air conditioning units, you may have other things that come on all at once, you're paying a premium because now you're saying I need all this electricity all at once, which is more than just turning a stove or television on in the house. And so Con Edison may have you in a different rate class because you have this instantaneous demand. They have to be ready to give you all those kilowatts instantly, and not the 100 kilowatts, not the 100 watts for an hour. And so if you're turning on large compressors that are running heat pumps and that sort of thing, those have an instantaneous demand that's relatively high, and so you're paying a demand charge. And
you don't pay that as a homeowner. I don't see it on my homeowner.
You don't see it on your homeowner bill. But we want to include those customers in this program who do have demand charges.
You will have demand charges.
We want to include that. We want to include the power users, the heavier users.
Okay.
And that's the discussion we're having, and the
Okay,
clarification we've asked for.
My next question is how the way in which demand is calculated is so convoluted that if it remains that way, it won't be of any benefit to me because I have solar. But the way in which it's calculated is they pick my highest demand for the month and they charge me instead of looking at my average for the month.
Well,
so if one day I have a huge amount of demand, I'm paying the price at the end of the month.
That's correct, and that's because they're paying. they put a premium on having to be able to supply you with your peak demand at the same instantaneous moment that every other shopkeeper on the street has the same instantaneous demand.
I understand that,
yeah.
but, so there's no guarantee that that demand's gonna go away?
We don't think, no.
Or be reduced even?
So here's the kicker. So the solution there is, would be to look at a facility that had a high demand and look at energy efficiency measures that might be taken.
Oh, and we've done that. And
yeah.
we've done that. I mean, we are suspicious if we've changed all the lighting. We've done everything we could. I just can't get away from paying demand when I'm producing all my own energy.
Right.
It's frustrating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we talk about the condos now? You said in the
I just want to see if anybody.
Okay.
I apologize for my apparel. I was playing soccer before.
You made us think it was, Springer.
I missed the last goal. Just flubbed the shot.
Is there anybody else that had, is there any more questions on this? We will talk about it a little bit more before we make any decisions, and we will have plenty of time for people that ask questions on it. Okay?
And I can forward the draft resolution and this one pager and the public services.
Yeah, if you could just, we'll put it on the webpage. We put Mike's PowerPoint on the webpage already. But I think it just requires
I'll send you something briefer.
Thank you. That would be, I think everyone would appreciate that. So thank you. Now, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Please give your name and address.
Hi, my name's Emma McGuire and I live in Fox Hill Condominium. When you have to talk earlier in the discussion, when you responded to the lady from Kevin's Cove, you had said that the Homestead Act has been taken out and won't be used during this assessment. Isn't that correct?
For this board, yes.
Yeah. But the night when you announced that in the other meeting, your lawyer, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, he said that's not true because if there's a new board comes in January, then they could put the Homestead Act back on the table.
What happens is that this board, we cannot tell the next board what to do if there was a change in the board.
I understand that.
So we know how much work the assessor's office is doing to get this reassessment done properly. We've done our research, we've read our case studies. We know how much it could affect not only the condos, but the workload of the assessor's office, and as importantly, the businesses in the town of Ossining. We don't have a lot of big businesses. We don't have Target here. We don't have any of those. We have small mom and pop stores for the most part. We do have a couple of CVS's and A&P, Stop and Shop. So we felt that it was very, very important. This board unanimously felt it was very, very important that we concentrate on the reassessment and leave the homestead for a future time when and if another reassessment is done. You can only do it while you're doing a reassessment, okay? And if Fernando works very, very hard and keeps everything at 100%, then you don't need to do, there will never be as big as a reassessment. This one was 42 years ago it was done. So this is a major project for us. We want them, they're getting new software in. We want to make sure that everybody we can sit down and everyone can look at their values the way that they exist now. You still might go up if your condo values are higher, value, you would still be assessed on the, correct me, Fernando? Right now their condos are done on the income approach, and you would still be done on the income approach. What do you rent, what the rental thing is. But this board has decided that no, it would not address the homestead option now. It won't even be addressed. In February of 2016, that's when we'll see what the tax shift was. What was the tax shift? What is going over to residential that might not have been commercial and residential might be the split, what will the split be? We've done a tremendous amount of work in the last 3-4 years on settling all the certiorari's, which are the claims of the commercial property owners. So we feel we're very close to whatever that tax shift is. Can't be 100% positive, but we think we're very close. So in order to do this reassessment in the proper way, as I said before, to make sure we have everything done and we have accuracy, we want to let them concentrate on that.
I think though our concern is if there's a change in the board. And as of January, according to your lawyer, he said the other board could change their mind and put it back on the table as of January. So that's still a possibility if this board could change.
Well, Jeff is not running for re-election. There's someone running. And I think you might see some I'm running for re-election. So it's, you know, it's going to be the decision of the voters.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Did that answer your homes? Please go. I'm sorry. I didn't remember.
I feel like I'm just babbling up there. Yes.
No, you have to go up there and say it.
Yeah.
And feel free to ask any questions you want to.
All right.
I like that you have it on your iPad.
The one-person mic. So when you said that the board unanimously voted down the...
Well, we can't vote yet.
Okay.
So we can't vote, and no vote can be taken until after the final numbers are in.
So technically the Homestead Act was just tabled?
We tabled it.
So a new board could then...
We should wait till all the numbers are in February of 2016, okay, to make a decision. But
so
yeah.
Okay, if you unanimously as a group agree to not do the homestead, why don't you just vote it down now so that we don't have to wait for the anticipation of a new board that may come in and surprise us?
Eric, Eric.
There's no legal way this board, sitting as constituted today, to vote on a matter that's not before it, not properly before it at this time.
You have to say it again.
Sorry, there's no legal way that this board can vote on a matter which is technically not legally before it at this time. Because technically speaking, a homestead does not come into play until the actual reassessment is enacted. So this board can't vote on something and find a future board. It's not legal.
But we have done. But we've done a tremendous. We've done a lot of reading. We've done a lot of research. We did a lot of case studies. We put some of those case studies right online for people to read too.
I know. I think from my point of view that I look at this as like almost a double whammy for me. That I don't want to go into too much personal finance, but I stepped into a condo because of the benefits that a condo presents in the future. That yeah, hey, maybe I can be a landowner and possess that single-family home. But it's like, okay, I fear that I'm going to lose my market advantage if my taxes get raised, and then I pay for so much of the scope of services that these taxes would, all the way down from garbage to the sewer, because we're below level, so we actually have to pump up. I pay village and town because my property is in the both. And then I got a little nervous, which I'm bummed I didn't ask the Taylor lady, that she commented on train station and river, and whoa, that's Kimmy's Cove. And are you talking about the train station as a positive? Because in the summer is probably the worst experience ever. But I'm just afraid that I'm going to really, I think it's whatever that letter comes out, and I see my reassessment, and yeah, 42 years is a long time, and I agree that there's probably discrepancies between the taxes, but I have to go on record and say to put condominiums in the same category as a single-family assessment would just really...
We have town hall meetings every 6 weeks. We have had people down from the tax department talking about the homestead option. We have had this room filled to the brim, and we listened and we heard, and you're not the only one. My mom actually lives in Kenny's.
I know, actually, I was trying, I didn't want to make that a seller, but.
But she doesn't own her apartment, she rents it. So, but I just wanted you to know that we thank you for putting that down, you know, in the comments, and you and many others. And we understand more so about our seniors being on fixed incomes that live in condominiums. So we have taken all of that into consideration, including the fact that we need to keep our small businesses here. We have a lot of businesses that are on the first floor of buildings, and we can't take the chance of overtaxing them too. So, and plus the county doesn't go into the, would not be part of it anyway. And we're only one group that would have decided. We have the initial decision on the homestead option, but we also, here we go before the school board and the village boards and stuff. I just want to clear up one point. Most people, 85% of the people in the town of Ossining live in one of the two villages. Okay, so it's New York State. You live in a village, in a town, in a county, in a state, in the United States. So the unincorporated people, we are their local government, so they only have us. So their town and their unincorporated is this group. But you live in the village of Ossining, in the town of Ossining. There's people in here that live in the village of Briarcliff Manor in the town of Ossining. So we've taken it very seriously. We want you to be assured that no matter what you hear out there, we stand firm on what we say.
And just to double clarify that is current, this particular board is not in favor of the Homestead Act.
Right.
Okay, so it really just boils down to making sure the people who are running for election in the future, January, are in that same ballpark so that we can anticipate the same decision-making that you five had.
Well,
without saying what we can think,
you know, I mean,
new electors will do, but it really boils down to...
It boils down to, we invite you to come to all our meetings, we invite you to read our webpage, we're very open, we're an open government, come up and visit us, we're on the 3rd floor of 16 Croton Avenue, we're always there to talk to you about any issue, just come up and so that you can, you know, okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else?
On other subjects or other subjects?
Oh yeah, we're on other subjects. Yeah. Did you want to go?
Open subjects or?
I'm sorry? Yeah, anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm John Van Steen, 78 South Highlands Avenue, Ossining, New York. One question that I have before, I've got two questions. The first one has to do with microphones. Last time I was chatting with you, you mentioned that there might be some money through something called a PEG program.
Yes, and we're still working on it because we're still putting the microphone right up to our lips. No, it's horrible.
Okay. I noticed that Eric couldn't hold it out here, but it had to.
And he doesn't feel well. He doesn't want to contaminate the rest of us.
On another note, late last year, I was before this board questioning the concepts of the reduction of salaries of the superintendent of highways and receiver of taxes. And at the time, the board indicated that it was essentially a labor issue that they needed to address through the budgeting process. And as a result, even though last year there was some increases, both of these individuals still had salaries definitely far below what they were several years ago. So my question to the board is, well, where do we go forward on this? Is this something in which the board feels that the salaries as they are market rate? And so if something were to happen to one of these individuals or another election were to come along, that these salaries would stay where they are? Is it something in which, because this was a labor dispute, is there an end as far as that portion of it is concerned? I was just wondering what the consensus of the board was as far as this issue is concerned.
Well, when we all got together, we were talking and we did our compromising in this last budget cycle. We determined that probably in the next year, the salaries would go up to what their current rate would be.
Okay.
Like, you can't say for sure because, you know, you have to see how the whole year goes, but, you know, it's anticipated that.
Okay, but the salaries effectively, you anticipate the piece at some point in the not too distant future would be restored.
Right.
Thank you.
Those are great. I thought somebody was going to cut your line, Bill.
Bill Janicki, 12 Morningside Court, the town outside. Been there for 42 years. And
Can you hear me?
can you hear all right? Can you hear all right?
Matt, can you hear him?
You folks don't make enough money. So if there's ever a referendum on the compensation, you can count on me to vote for it. I'm here representing the concerned citizens of Ossining, cleverly mnemonic CCOO. We're a bunch of people who are concerned about the Highview Farm proposed development. And I want to say just a few things about it. I want to say, on behalf of the CCOO, how pleased we are with the role that you folks have played in opening the discussion to the pros and cons of the Highview Farm proposed development. We believe this town council played an important part in the good dialogue that's going on now. The original proposal going back to 2013 was for a much larger development with a disastrous environmental footprint. Gradually, reason took hold, many meetings and a lot of acerbic discussion, and a cluster proposal was submitted. The town board's involvement was important to making this happen. Serious discussion is now being given to steep slope construction, which is, from a construction standpoint, a nightmare. Wetland destruction, impacts on fauna and flora, damage to downstream streams, rivers, and habitats, and other major risks. Environmental, ground stability, which is something that hasn't been covered very well in the past, or is going to be covered very soon. And the financial aspects and the risks associated with things going wrong out of development, mudslides, retaining walls failing, and so forth, and where that bill winds up. The town council's decision to videotape the planning board's proceedings has the promise of improved transparency and importantly enables Ossining citizens to understand how important this development could be to our environment and our quality of life. I wish to assure you that the sunshine now on this project is improving the confidence in all of the people in the town outside, and that there will be a thoughtful decision based on facts and not assertions that are carefully considered and not railroaded by the powerful and the well-connected. Net-net, our town outside residents are more hopeful than ever for a positive, well-reasoned outcome to this debate. And I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the role you played in this and bringing rationality and a wholesome discussion to the table. So, thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Janicki.
I'm just going to tag on to Bill for a second. For those who aren't aware, do I have to repeat my name? First, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm also a member of the group Concerned Citizens of Ossining. And just to give background to people, I hear a lot of people watch this on video, and we're going to make our appeal tonight. For the past 2 years, we've been attending Town of Ossining Planning Board meetings to express our concerns about the proposed development of cluster homes on the last large open space in the town. The property is situated between Tavano Road, Morningside Court, and Ryder Park. It is very environmentally sensitive property filled with wetlands, steep slopes, forest, and wildlife. After many meetings and the urging of our group, the planning board has finally resolved that the applicant begin New York State Environmental Quality Review called SECRA. It is important to note that our biggest concern is the overdevelopment of this property. Adjoining homes are in 40,000 square foot properties, R40 zoning. The proposed cluster homes would be on 5,000 square foot lots. In order to create this development, it would require the disturbance of many steep slopes and the removal of acres of forest. This will drastically change the character of the neighborhood. This is not an issue that will just affect the adjoining neighborhoods. Development along the property that borders Ryder Park will affect everyone who uses the facilities there. As many of you know, there are already flooding issues on the fields causing game cancellations at times. Further disruption of the wetlands that flow to the park will exacerbate the problem. We invite you to come to the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center on Wednesday, June 29th at 7:30 p.m. to express your concerns. This is a public meeting to gather input from residents to be included in a draft environmental impact statement. This document will drive the future of the process, so come and be heard.
Thank you very much.
Did you say June? Did you say June or?
Oh, it's April 29th.
April.
Just to emphasize, at 7 p.m.
Is it 7?
Is it 7 or 7:30?
I think it's 7:30. I read
Okay,
notice.
okay. 7:30, I apologize. See?
Say it again.
I did that to make you feel comfortable, Wendy. It's 7:30 on April 29th, so it's a week from tomorrow. It will be the scoping process they're in the middle of to put together the SECRA scoping process for Highview Farms. So I want to thank you again. Does anybody else want to speak? One of the things that we started today on the, this has nothing to do with Highview Farms, but we changed our front page of our web page. We included now, we're doing an action plan because we did a review over the last approximately 8 months or so of our 2002 comprehensive plan. And we'd like you all to read it, give us your input. The town board will be discussing it in May at our meeting. I think it's the 5th. I have so many dates in front of me today. And we'll make sure you have it, but look on the front page of that, of the townofaustining.com webpage, and it will tell some of the things, some of the actions that we're looking to take that has to go. May 5th? Thank you. May 5th. And we'll be looking at some of the actions that we're looking to take for the comprehensive plan for the entire unincorporated area, no specific places. So I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I thought that was a very educational meeting. You know, some of the topics, I want to thank you, Fernando, for updating us on the reassessment, which we know is a major project for us this year. Michael G. O'Connor on the different no parking on the roads. Watch for that to be, we'll have a public hearing on that. And community choice aggregation, we don't need to have a public hearing, but we will have one to see if anyone has any more questions. And I've made a note to ask some of the other people that are involved in it to come and talk about it some more. I want to thank you all for coming this weekend. Last weekend was so active. This weekend we have ball games and soccer and lacrosse and baseball. What else do we have? Oh, the Historic House Tour. Thank you, sir. Is that out of the Historical Society? And the Historical Society is doing a Historic House Tour. So look on the Village of Ossining web blast, and the Town of Ossining often puts out different activities that are happening, and so do our trustee Ossining Police. So I want to thank. Oh, hold on.
I don't know if this
Yeah,
works.
that's it.
OVAC is holding a blood drive on Saturday, the 25th. I don't have the time in front of me.
But it's,
Do you know?
no, but I think it's 11 o'clock, but you should go and donate blood. We're always in critical need for blood at OVAC, which is over on Clinton Avenue by the Walgreens in the village of Ossining. That's where OVAC is. We also want to announce again, we've been doing this or not, but Nick Franzosa, who's the captain of OVAC, he's a volunteer captain, got a healthcare award from Westchester Magazine. We're very proud of him, as we're very proud of all of our first responders, ambulance, fire, and police department. Again, thank you very much. And one. No, we just, as Councilman Blaha just reminded me, we had an extremely fun event, full of adventures, full of activities, full of food. Earth Day last Saturday down at Lewis Angle Waterfront Park, the park we were just talking about. And there was over 70 vendors there and exhibits happening, music. Mike and Mary Risco did the stage for us. You know, KJ Dennett was one of the singers there too. It was a fabulous day. In the past, we've, except for last year, we used to do Stash the Trash on the same day as Earth Day, and it got very, very complicated. So we have joined. We have joined River the same day that Riverkeeper is doing the river sweep. But the town of Ossining, through the Ossining Recreations and Park Department, will be doing Stash the Trash on May 9th. If you have any questions, you want to sign up your teams, please call the Recreation Department at 941-3189. Trying to remember phone numbers. And tell them your team. We want Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, clubs, all the animal clubs, the Elks, the Moose, and anybody that wants to come out. You can come out as a single, you can come out as a couple, you can come out as a group. Please come out and help us clean up Ossining. It was a very, very difficult, harsh winter, and we need all the help we can get. So again, I want to thank you and have a wonderful week. And next Tuesday, we will be at the courthouse at a legislative meeting at 88 Spring Street for our legislative meeting. And then the next week after that, we'll be back at 16 Croton Avenue for a regular work session. We do these town hall meetings approximately every 6 weeks. So thank you and have a wonderful evening. Oh, I'm sorry. You can stay if you want to, but we have to go into a special meeting, legislative meeting. But we're going to take a 2-minute break before we do that.
Councilmember Jeffrey. Councilmember Blaha. Councilmember Wilshire. Supervisor Dunn. And the first resolution is request for bids high pressure sewer jet trailer. Resolved the town board of the town of Ossining hereby authorizes the town clerk to advertise a request for bids for a high pressure sewer jet trailer for the town of Ossining Highway Department in accordance with the set specification. Bids shall be submitted no later than 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May 19th to the office of the town clerk. Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter B, Personnel Office of the Receiver of Taxes PTA appointment. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby appoints Vanessa Crawford Ossining to the PTA part-time as needed position of interim clerk in the office of the Receiver of Taxes at a rate of $13 per hour effective April 21st, 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? I may have missed the opportunity for public comment. Was that announced on these agenda items?
No, I didn't announce it.
Didn't announce it? Well, may I make public comment?
There you go. There you go.
I'll wait until you're finished.
No, just make your public comment now. Down the agenda.
Thank you very much. I'm Gloria Freed. I'm the Receiver of Taxes. I live at 22 Ryder Road. And the first thing I would like to do is thank the board for these 2 resolutions, appointing 2 people to work as part-time as needed in the tax office. As you are aware, the tax office collects this month all of the town, unincorporated, county, and special district funds that run the town and the county for the full year. We issued 10,200 tax bills totaling more than $36 million. To date, we've already collected over 3,600 bills, which total $10,650 million. But what that means, oh, and today was a real banner day. We posted 1.5 million, the highest number so far this month, which averaged around 500,000, 400,000, maybe 600,000 on a day. But what that means is that we still have 6,600 bills to be paid in more than $25 million. And the reason is because everybody likes to wait until the last minute to pay. I really want to thank you for appointing 2 part-time as-needed intermediate clerks to work in the office, and for approving that they would cover the time when Patty is having her surgery and I have medical appointments. However, what I would like to ask this board to please consider is that there are only 7 work days left in April and 6,600 bills, $25 million. It has been traditional that the bulk of the money comes in during the last few days, the last 4 days. And during that period of time, we've always had part-time as-needed help coming in for those last 3 days to help with the posting and serving the public. I'd like to remind the public, please don't forget your April Tampa County tax bill that's due in 1 week. But please don't wait until the last day. We will be open from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 at night. It's more convenient to come after 4:30 because there's a lot more parking. However, it really will be very difficult at that time to get all of the payments posted in 24 hours, unless I can have that part-time help come in those last 3 days. So I'm asking this board to please consider that, to serve the public better, to allow those payments to meet the audit requirements of being posted within 24 hours so that we can have them in the bank to better serve the town and the county and be available for the business of the town. That's April 27th through the 30th, and they're already slated and have been approved to come in, 1 person on the 28th. I'd like to know if I can have the 27th, another person on the 28th to cover while I'm out, the 29th and the 30th, and we will handle the mail, the crunch of mail, on the 1st of May. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the fact that we're getting these 2 part-timers.
Thank you, Gloria. It was.
So, do I?
No, we had a motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter C, Personnel Office of the Receiver of Taxes of PTA appointment resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby appoints Barbara Powell Ossining to the PTA part-time as needed position of intermediate clerk in the Office of the Receiver of Taxes at the rate of $13 per hour, effective April 21st, 2015. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, I have a question before we, so what are we doing with that?
Well, we'll have to, Gloria and I can go over it. Right. We have to find out, it's an operational issue, and we'll take care of it in the office.
I think it's a personnel issue that the board should discuss because this is an issue of service to the public. Whether or not the public is better served by having extra help during this crunch period. I mean, you hire extra people for the parks for the summer. You hire extra people to go out and do road work. You hire extra people for the summer camps for the summer. I've always had extra people really the issue. It's not operational. It was really a budget question, and it was omitted from the budget, and that really is a board prerogative to be able to set that. And it has hampered my office not to have that help, and I discussed it with the auditors. It has caused a degradation in the ability to get the money in within the 24 hours required by New York State law. And I'm bonded for this, and I'm responsible for this money, and I'm responsible to get it in the bank. It shouldn't be sitting around in my office in envelopes waiting for the opportunity for two people, because the assessment tax clerk will go back to the assessor's office, and it'll leave all that bulk of mail.
It does.
It does.
She's not scheduled to go back to the 8th of May.
At
She's
least the
scheduled to go
mail
back on the 8th of
left
May.
for us to finish. So I would like the board to have a discussion. Well, why don't can we discuss it?
I think it's, first of all, thank you. I know you're very,
Oh, yeah.
Don't hold it too close.
yeah.
We're done now, though.
I think it's fair. Thank you. We know you're very busy, and it's a busy time for you. I'm just curious. This is, we don't see you in the audience a lot, but this, what you're asking us to do, as far as I understand, is not our usual protocol. It's not typical to hear someone and then have a board discussion during a special meeting, which we have an agenda, which we discuss, and then there are formal votes based upon paperwork that's been prepared well in advance.
But you didn't have an opportunity for me to meet with you before. This is my opportunity to meet with you.
Well, I think we didn't hear from you. I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm saying we didn't hear from you last week or the week before or the week before on this.
I sent you emails. You got lots of emails.
I remember seeing emails about part-time help.
Yeah.
Let us look at the budget.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Was a similar request made and approved for this same calendar period for last year?
No, last year was a very, very difficult year, and I discussed that with the auditors because the money did not make it into the bank in time.
What was the consequence of the money not making it to the bank?
Well, first of all, you broke the state law, and the board truly is responsible for that. Secondly, the money is not available for the county and the town until it's processed. People are calling and saying, my check hasn't cleared. How come my check hasn't cleared? And it hasn't because it's still sitting in an envelope. I mean, it is a problem. It is a problem to the good functioning of the office. It is a problem to the fact that we're fiscally responsible for that.
I think we've heard and understand.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
We're
We're going to consult with council, I'm sure, so thank you for your presentation.
There's no resolution before the board takes a vote. You're asking me to discuss, which is understandable, but there's nothing that can be voted on, because there wasn't a publicized resolution.
Okay.
Other than to authorize the two comments.
Right.
Yes, and I really appreciate the fact that that has been approved. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you very much,
The
Gloria.
problem is that I do need this help next week.
We understand.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And don't forget, we're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
That's not so facing you, but I can't hear you.
Madam Clerk.
Take care.
This special meeting.
Yeah, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Again, thank you. Don't forget to pay your town and county taxes. And we will see you next Tuesday at the legislative meeting at 88 Spring Street. And have a wonderful weekend. And I think our bad weather is over because we've had a couple of days. Oh, frost!
Oh.
Well, we can only hope not. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.